All right, so we are live. In any event, like I was saying, Profit's built-in Outlook. It solves the main challenge, which is getting people to actually use it. And the way we do that is embedding the CRM functionality in Outlook. So what I'm going to show you is the contact management aspect of it, which is a central database of contacts and accounts. So you can, your boss, and you can see what, who's been calling on who, activities, interactions, correspondence, quotes, what have you. You can manage the sales pipeline, which is really trying to get new business, whether it's a new contract with an existing customer or getting new customers. There's ways to automate follow-up, and then there's lots in the way of dashboards and reports, which will be really useful. And very importantly, mobile apps, because when salespeople are out in the field calling on customers and prospects, they need to be able to access the CRM very easily through their usually phone or tablet. And I'll show you, I'll actually demonstrate how that works too as we go through this. So here's basically the idea is it literally, I'm in the CRM, but I'm actually in Outlook. So here's my inbox, and these folders up on the upper left are the CRM. So there's three types of data. There's opportunity data, contacts, and accounts. So just like any CRM, you have these three types of records. Let's start in the opportunity folder. So you can create different lists, views, if you will. You can see I've created quite a number of them. But I have one called Warren's Active Pipeline. These are all of the prospects that I'm working with. So I might want to just look up PGT Trucking by just typing in PGT, and I'll explain how this record structure works. So this is an opportunity. I'm going to guess that you'd have 9 to 10 CRM users based on your head count there. That's a description. So this might be refrigerator cargo from Miami to Memphis or some. We actually have templates for trucking and logistics, by the way. I'll show you some of those. But basically the idea is that you have a form that keeps track of who's involved in it. The contacts are just Outlook contact cards. So what happened when you replied to my email through that link and filled out a few things, it gave me enough information to create a contact. And this is nothing more than an Outlook contact card. By the way, people can still use Profit, or rather Outlook, for personal contacts. They just mark them private. But the reason we use the Outlook contacts twofold. One, people that use Outlook already know how to create a contact in Outlook. It's easy to do. And secondly, it allows you to sync your contacts right out of the box in the CRM with any device on the planet. Your phone, your laptop, your desktop, your home computer, card scanner, cam card, everything can sync with Outlook pretty much. So we just add a few functions to the contact card, one of which, by the way, is to create an opportunity. It's a one-click function, and that's exactly what I did here. Pretty clear so far?
Yep.
And then you have like status, is it active, won, lost, on hold? These are customizable labels and fields, but these are the standard kind of concept here. What stage are you in? Have you quoted them? Are you waiting negotiation, payment, stuff like that? Right now I have you don't do demos, but that's one of our stages. You can assess some kind of a probability, put in an estimated close date. Of course, you can update these as time goes on, how much revenue you'll get. But let me show you an example of a form that's a little more like your industry. So I'm going to create an example of one that's, let's see if I can just find a logistics template here. Yeah, here we go. So don't worry about what I'm doing there. I'm just showing you a different type of form. So in this case, a lot of the terminology might be things like destination, origin, route info, lane, or whatever your terminology is. Like this might be Miami to Memphis or something like that, whatever describes the opportunity. And then you might have things like type of cargo, what is this deal about? What type of equipment might you have? Is it hazardous cargo? Is it, things of that nature? See how this is basically drop-down lists that make sense to you. And is it LTL or express or whatever, and you basically just keep track of your deals through this form. And here's your different stages that you might have. In any event, the bottom half of this record is where you keep track of your activities. So there's an activity log centered around this drop-down list of predefined entries. The point here is to make it super easy for someone to put a note in, like left a voicemail, sent a quote, did a quote follow-up. And this is one of the key concepts of making it easy. If people have to type everything in repetitively, it kind of drives them crazy. So this just allows you to do a one quick you could type in notes, like if you wanted to type in some notes from a meeting or whatever. Get the idea there?
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely one of their things that they complained about with Salesforce was all the double entry.
Mm-hmm. So let me show you another aspect of this. Is these are reportable fields. So if you wanted to, or your boss wanted to create some reports on those activities, they just go into the report folder, pick the report they want. This is an activity report, and I'll show you how it aggregates all those log entries into a nice formatted report here. You can see that right there. So these are just the notes that were put in as time goes on and the type of activity it was, meeting notes. You can see that some of them are voicemail or notes from an email, proposal notes, and so on, right? These are just basically notes. And that's something you could print off or send it as a PDF or a Word doc out. So the point is that those entries that I was showing you, the log entries in Profit are part of the reporting structure. Another thing you can do is very important is that if people are not in the office, they're out calling on customers, hopefully, you can actually just access it through your phone or your tablet. So Profit comes with iPhone and Android phone apps and some others. Basically, you can access any data in the CRM right from your phone. There's a very cool shortcut. The most common thing people will do is update a record once they had a sales call. So you can see that little blue square that says add note. That's a shortcut. So I have my iPhone in my hand, and I'm gonna demonstrate how that works for you.
Okay.
Let's say I just had a meeting with you, and I wanted to just record some notes after that sales call. I met with James to review the proposal, and he liked it so much they committed to signing the contract next Wednesday. Okay, that note was just dictated into my phone. You'll actually see that note in the CRM as soon as I open the record. There it is. So that's a very simple way to just log activities and notes into your CRM from your phone. Again, just making it easy. Make sense?
Yeah, that's yeah, my team would have no excuse not to do it with
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I mean, it's easier than writing it down in a yellow legal pad or something, or you're maybe not as old as I am, but there used to be a thing called a day timer, where you kept your notes and stuff. Anyway, this is some of the stuff. You can also create new contacts, edit any field in the contact from the mobile device. It's got some limitations, of course, because it's not a computer, it's a phone, but you can access any data and do this kind of stuff I'm showing you. Left a voicemail, sent a quote, whatever. Um, the other part of Profit is the ability to track emails really easily. So email tracking, each user they control how they want to track emails. Only the emails that the user intentionally puts into the CRM are shared. In other words, there's no invasion of their inbox or anything. Only emails that they want to be part of the CRM are here. Now, there's three ways you can do it. If I was just creating a new email, I could say, hey, this email I want to link to an opportunity. So there's a little link button. This kind of is how Salesforce does it because they're not in Outlook. You can also just, if you're in the record, you can say send an email. This will just create an email to the person there. In this case, you. The third way is if this if this opportunity is going to be active for a while, you can just check a box that allows you to auto link emails. And when like I've got this checked here, so when you sent me this email, I didn't put it in here, it was automatically tracked in here.
Okay.
Let me show you how that works. I'm going to just go into Outlook. And I'm going to send you an email here, not Profit, and I'll put some content in it so you can kind of see the round trip. Here we go. And you can actually reply to this if you want while you're on the call. You'll see how it tracks the reply as well. So I just sent you an Outlook email. It's in my sent items, but that email is actually now tracked in Profit. You can see it right here. Okay. And if you reply, I'll see it come in because I'm still in Outlook. And the reply gets tracked. So these are email tracking. You can also link emails from third parties. Let's say I get an email from someone. I'll just go into some of these emails. Let's say I get an email from Edward Fitzgerald here, and it's maybe it's related to your opportunity. Click the link button, select PGT Trucking. Now that email from Edward is going to be linked onto the record, as you can see. and they stay in the order in which they were originally sent. You know, the received and sent date.
Okay.
You can
So,
sort.
quick question on that.
Hmm.
So, if I'm having an email conversation with you, and then I click for to auto link, but
Hmm.
then during that chain, at one point we bring in I don't know, like our head of IT. Would
Hmm.
it then auto track anything that he responds to as well?
Only if, first of all, only if he's a Profit user and he is elected to track his emails in here.
Okay.
That's what I mean by not invasive. A user has to intentionally track emails, but once they're in the record, and anyone with permission to view this record can view those emails. Is that pretty clear?
Yep.
Appointment tracking works the same way. This is just your log of meetings that you've had. This is something like your boss would want to see probably. There's different reports I showed you, but this just shows you a history of all the meetings. In this case, it's only one, but if I click on it, it brings up our Outlook meeting. So if I create a new one using the Outlook appointment button here, which I'll do just to show you how this works, I'll make it a different color and we'll put it on. Basically, I'm just creating an appointment here. It'll now be shown in your history of appointments, but most importantly, and this is what's really, really nice, is that it puts it right on your Outlook calendar for you. So,
Oh, that is nice.
you know, you're really thinking about what we're doing here is one centralized set of contacts, one centralized set of emails, and you know, one calendar, and then you also have your tasks. If you use the Outlook tasks, which are tracked both in Profit and in Outlook, see over here on the right where it says James Africa PGT Trucking Inc. That's my to-do item to basically make sure we connect on this call. So since we are, I'm going to mark it complete. Took it off my to-do list in Outlook, and now it's marked complete in Profit. So now I have, you didn't know this, but I've actually had 3 reminders to do stuff to reach out to you and connect with you on this call. So you can keep track of tasks, which is a very useful thing. And speaking of that, you don't have to just do one task at a time. You can set a series of them. This is very powerful. Let's say you get an inquiry and you want to just send them some information, which by the way is this. I'm going to have to make a confession. This email, or not this one, the email here that I sent you is done from a template.
Okay.
And in other words, I didn't have to write it. It was created automatically. And then I had these follow-ups to make sure we connect. And even after that, I have 3 more follow-ups. If we've, you know, there's no way we'd fall out of touch here. See, this goes out through October 5th now. Each of these are just an automated touch. Some of them are reminders, some of them are emails, some of them are appointments. The emails get created automatically and they pop up when they're ready to go, when they're scheduled to go. Because remember, these might have been created, you know, 4 or 5 weeks ago. So when they're ready, a queue will pop up that shows you all the Outlook emails that are ready to schedule, ready to process, and you can process them individually or all at once or snooze them. So it's basically a way to see that one right here. This actually filled out his name automatically, and it's a predefined content. Here's another one, you know, from 8 weeks ago. No way I would have remembered to do all this, right?
Yeah, I
Anyway,
have a
that's,
hard time remembering what I got to do from day to day.
I know exactly. So that's really the whole round trip of the opportunity. It's just a way to keep track of your things in sales that you're doing. And then you can go back into your list. The main idea though is literally still in Outlook. Oh, I see you. I see that email here is received. So I'm going to show you how it tracked it in Profit. So you see that email automatically tracked. But notice I'm in Outlook. That's what I'm getting at. So let's go in and let's say we want to manage our sales pipeline. First of all, it's all permission based. People may only be able to view what they create or a manager assigns to them. A manager or someone with the authority, the permission level, can see all, like here's my sales team pipeline. I'm one of the sales directors. I do some real work here and there as well, i.e. sales. But I can go in and look at the entire team, or I can select people out of the team that I want to look at. See that?
Okay.
So you can create different lists, and these lists are kind of like a dynamic Excel spreadsheet. You can move columns around, you can make them wider, you can add columns, you can choose what you want in your view. And maybe I want to sort by potential revenue, which would be an obvious one. Somebody wants to know what my top 10 deals are. Here they are. I got $240,000 worth of those in my top 10 deals. Maybe you want to filter it down so that you're looking only at highly qualified deals that have reached the demo stage, or let's say proposal stage. So out of 107 records total, all of these are in proposal stage. And that, of course, is a very important list right there. It's my income coming in the next month or so. So I'm going to pause here and see if you have any questions about any of this before I move on.
No, I think I'm good so far.
Does it look pretty straightforward to you, the whole idea?
Yeah, it does. I actually do. I'm assuming this is exportable into Excel.
Yeah, anytime you're in a list, you just click the Excel button, and that exact list, sorted, filtered, set up exactly with those fields that are highlighted here, or just in that list, are now popped into an Excel spreadsheet here.
Okay.
And people like Excel. That's why we designed this to behave like Excel, the sorting and the filtering and all that, right? That's just like an Excel spreadsheet. It's
I
intentionally.
live in Excel.
Yeah, so Outlook and Excel are your friends, and Profit basically works exactly like with Outlook and Excel and kind of behaves like Outlook and Excel throughout. You can also import data from Excel, by the way. There's an import utility up here that you can import. So that's your whole sales pipeline management part of it. Another aspect of it is certain people might be more interested in just keeping track of activity with existing customers, not necessarily about trying to make a sale. So that's your folder for accounts or companies, whatever you want to call them. And you can see it. There's been a log of activities, did a quote follow-up on the 18th, left a voicemail, made a phone call. Same idea, same general idea, but these are not necessarily about an order or anything. They're just maybe somebody called about an invoice. But imagine how useful this is if a salesperson is going to go call on a customer. They're out in the field, and I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but you go in to talk to the traffic manager or whoever's you're meeting with, and you're all ready to give them a pitch and review the quote, and all they want to talk about is invoicing problems or something. Well, if you just checked your phone when the Profit app before you walked in, you would know that you better address that sort of stuff first, because there's been a log of correspondence and activity about that sort of thing. All the same features, tracking. But from here you can see what opportunities there are for that client, history of the opportunities. You can open them, kind of check it out. By the way, do you ever deal with companies that are multi-branch, that have kind of subsidiaries or multi-locations?
Yes. Yeah, many.
So, okay, so Profit has a nice function for that. It's called the parent-child relationship. So all of these, see how if I'm in a company, you can create subsidiaries of it. I'm going to actually show you. That's a help. Let me just go into another one. I'm going to look up one of my companies that has a lot of those. North American Plastics, that would be a good one. Let's see here. Okay, so all of these companies here have a parent company called North American Plastics. And North American Plastics has a total of 68 locations around the country. So it allows you to see the relationships of those, and it also lets you see, if you're in that record, you can see, hey, I want to see, I want to see all of the subsidiaries opportunities. So see where it says include child items right here? When I click that, it'll show all of the opportunities for all of the subsidiaries of that company. That parent-child relationship, it's useful. It's part of the database to keep track of kind of your whole customer data, where the locations are, what's going on in sales with them and stuff like that. Anyway, you want to talk a little bit about reports, a little bit more on reports, since that's what your boss is interested in?
Yeah. Yeah, and I do basically constantly on reports, so that would be beneficial for me to see.
All right, give me an example of a couple of the kind of reports that you routinely run.
Well, since we're coming to month end, I got to run my sales analysis report, and on that, what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing is I'm looking at our revenue and load count for our top 100 customers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm comparing it versus time frame. So I'll do a month end one, so it'll be all of September, and then I'll do a
Mm-hmm.
year to date one,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll compare it versus September of last year and year
Mm-hmm.
to date for last year, and
Mm-hmm.
look how they're up or down,
Okay.
and try and find out from the sales reps why they're up or down.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump into a kind of advanced reporting capability of Profit. It's called Profit Analytics, and you can either have these embedded with a button in Outlook, or you can run them on any device. Actually, even mobile phones, you can have this. So Profit uses this technology from Microsoft called Microsoft Power BI, and it allows you to slice and dice the data many different ways, and you can create your own custom dashboards, or we can create them for you and point it at the profit database. You could also include data from your other systems, your actual revenue and load count data, for example, and then you can create your own visual reports. Now, notice as I can just change things on the fly. Like if I change the date range, you can see how the graphs change. I can
Mhm.
filter it down by sales rep, or I don't know, cargo type, or whatever it is that you're tracking, and you can see basically a lot of granularity of these different things. So Profit comes with 8 dashboards, mostly about your sales pipeline and opportunities and activities and such. But then again, you can either create your own. When I say create your own, this is Microsoft Power BI based, so you can actually just download the free desktop version of Microsoft Power BI, create your own reports. It takes a little training, but the good news is Microsoft provides that for free. Actually, the app and the training is typically no charge, and then you can create your own dashboards that compare whatever you want.
Okay.
If you just want some more traditional looking reports, of course, any of the data in Profit can be exported to Excel, but you can also create reports over here in the report manager. Like here's one that shows pipeline, but just an example, I'll put some data in here. Here's this is all pre-sales, so this isn't your load count or anything. This is what's going on with your sales pipeline. You can there's about 30 of these reports right out of the box. You can also create your own. There's a report designer that basically you give it a name, go into a column chooser, build the report. Once you create a new report, it looks pretty generic, and then you can further uh, modify it. You can put your logo in it, change colors, move things around, and so on.
Okay.
So there's quite a lot in the way of reporting and Profit. In fact, that's one of the main appeals to, especially to management, is the reporting capability.
Now, out of curiosity, because
Mm-hmm.
we use, I believe it's called iDashboard for dashboard for the VPs and our operations team and all
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be able to communicate with this? So if we created we already have like a tab for sales, but if we wanted to look at, who is calling who
Mm-hmm.
or how many visits we've made to Nucor or U.S. Steel, would we be able to tie that data into that, or would it have to be on its own?
Well, I'd have to look at iDashboard's probably site and take a quick look here. Is this it? iDashboard's Business Intelligence Dashboard Software?
Yep, that's it. I recognize the logo.
Okay. Well, for one thing, Profit is just a database. So
Okay.
what these things do is they just point at databases. Okay. In fact, here you go. There's your, how to connect data connection. So you could just hook this up to the Profit database and do what I was showing you with the dashboards here. It would look something, however you design it, the look, the look and
Right.
feel. But since Profit's just a Microsoft SQL database, you'd probably take a little bit of consulting for your people to understand our table structure and how to extract the data, but that could certainly be done.
Okay.
Profit, that makes it compatible with all such tools. This iDashboards, of course, is all about that, but any ODBC client, Crystal reports, or anything else would work with Profit.
Okay.
You can also look at integrating Profit with your ERP system, your sales and accounting system, if you wish. It's something we can do. And that way you can have data that comes out of, maybe customer data is entered into the ERP, and maybe it's not in Profit yet, so it can automatically push data from your ERP into Profit. We can also set up, depending on your system, even bidirectional integration or even multi-directional integration. A very common thing is to get for sales is to get leads, like on your website.
Mhm.
If you do, you guys get leads from your website?
Yeah, we have a request for quote feature which people can submit, and that'll go to me and a couple other people. And generally, what I do is then I just take it and I forward it off to the sales department or someone in
Uh,
the sales group and say, ask them who wants ownership of the lead.
okay, here's something you might really find useful. So this form that's on your
Mhm.
website can automatically generate an opportunity and assign it to the sales rep, or however you want it to be assigned. But it can automatically create the contact and opportunity in Profit. The notes would be in there, all of this stuff, and it's automated. We can do that as well. That's actually a pretty straightforward, simple integration.
Okay.
So then people aren't having to enter those leads. A request for a quote is an opportunity, of course, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it would automatically be created. You can get it. You can have an email alert go out to somebody that says you got a new lead, and they just open it up and they call the people and start working on it.
Okay.
Let me go over the onboarding and a little bit more of that side of it so that you can get a sense for how this is all done. But I mean, if you want, does this make sense to go a little bit into that while we have a few minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when we get a client, first of all, we got to get you set up correctly. And it's not a do-it-yourself kit. So when we get a new customer, we assign a project manager, an IT engineer, and you have your account manager, and they're basically going to guide you through this process. The first thing is the installation. Now it's cloud-based, even though there's some local software. So there's really just an Outlook plugin and setting up your accounts. It takes about 20 minutes per computer, and we assist with that. We do live meetings and log right into your computers and such. Then a couple of you will be full admins, and you can do things like customize fields and add and remove users and such. And then everyone will get end user training. There could be some data migration to do if you want us to help get data in there or train you on how to use the import utility. Like at a minimum, you'd want to start with at least your customer data and maybe your prospect data if you have it in some sort of like Excel spreadsheet or something.
Okay.
This process is what we go through, and the cost of that, not including any custom integration work, but all of the rest of it, all the training setup and everything, would cost about $3,000 for a team of, say, up to around 10 people. That's your onboarding cost. That's your setup and training and installation cost. And then the ongoing costs can be paid monthly, annually, or there's a purchase option. What we've been looking at is called the team edition, and I'll just highlight that right here. The team edition gives you the full sales CRM plus your contact and account management. So it's additive. The lowest level is real basic contact manager. The next level up is for sales teams. Next level up, we may not need to get into, but enterprise we could get into later if you want. But anyway, this includes, so the user fee is $55 per user per month, which includes the license and a tech support plan that's unlimited. There's no limit on how many tech support calls or tickets or hours you log. Not that you would rack up a whole bunch. It also includes updates and upgrades, and so there's no other cost unless you were to add users if you go with that kind of plan.
Okay.
If you pay it annually, prepay it annually, you get about 11% discount, and then there's a purchase option. So I'll show you a 10 user package here that would give you these examples. So the top two are what we're looking at. If you did the monthly licensing, you just pay the $29.95 and then the $5.50 for 10 users monthly. Now you don't have to get 10; you could get 8, 9, 11, whatever. But it's 55 times the number of users. So that's one way to do it. Very low cash out of pocket is the appeal of that plan, and spreading out your cash flow. The purchase option allows you to buy the software, and each user license is $552 for a lifetime perpetual license that are fully transferable. All of these are, if people come and go. But it's a purchase option. So you're buying the software, and the only ongoing cost is $299 a year per user, which means that your ongoing cost is less than half of the subscription rate. Even though you put more money up front, it's a lower cost quite soon. You can actually see that the cost of the purchase, you reach break even at about month 14, and then it's about half the cost or a little less. That's because
Okay.
the rate is annualized. It's $299, but comparatively, it's $25 versus $55. So your ongoing cost of the system would be $25 a month, about $300 a year per user. I can send you this whole slide deck if that would help.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah, the more I can put in front of them, the better.
Yeah, and you got to emphasize that we totally get that most CRMs are so complicated people don't use them. We get that. And that's why we go through a very thorough onboarding and training, and that's why we embed it in Outlook. I think you get the story pretty well, right?
Yeah, and speaking from past experience with Salesforce, I mean, when we first signed up with that in 2011, my boss at the time basically just told me, here, figure it out. Didn't let me go get trained or anything. And then I think like 3 or 4 years later, then they finally sent me to get trained. And then, of course, we discontinued it shortly then after.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to reiterate this one more time. I didn't quite get to the bottom of it. The main challenge of CRM is just finding something people will actually use. But
Yep.
very closely following that, it's got to be implemented correctly and people trained. Not 3 years later, because
Yep.
by then you've lost your momentum. And a third thing, very important, is the management, whoever the leadership is, needs to make the expectations very clear as to what they expect people to do in the CRM. It's simple. There's no excuse, but the minimum bar is every time you talk to a prospect or a customer, you put a note in the file. So at least there's that, right?
Mhm.
That's what I'd call the minimum bar. And it's just sales 101. You should be logging your sales calls somewhere, right? You might as well
Yeah,
put it in a place
exactly.
that gets it into a system that you can make sense out of. And then, of course, the dashboards and reports gives you visibility, accountability, and transparency of everything that's going on. That's it. All right. Any other thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
Nothing comes to mind at the present time, but I'm sure I'm going to have some as I digest everything.
Okay. How about I send you this slide deck and maybe a recording? Well, I got the recording going, so I'll send you the recording a little later today. And then, if it makes sense, we can hook up again for maybe get everyone that would be involved in the stakeholders in the CRM decision.
Yeah, like I said, I definitely will need to I'll take the slideshow and the recording, present it to my boss, and that will be a big help in explaining everything to him, because when we've looked at other stuff, this is the first thing one's ever offered that to be able to provide to them.
Oh, very good. So if you'd like, I'll send this and maybe a week, 2 weeks, ping you and see if you've had a chance to review it with your boss. What would be good timing for that follow-up?
Let me see here. What today's the 25th? I would say the week of the 7th. Give me 2 weeks.
All right.
He's in and out of the office a lot.
All right. That sounds good. I'll say might as well just put it on. Now, notice what I'm doing is I set a follow-up called my next step, and it's going to remind me to do it. So I have a good system for that. You can be absolutely certainly reach out on that date.
Okay.
James, thank you for your time. Appreciate it much. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too, Warren.
All right. Bye now.